back, man. How's everybody doing? Hopefully everybody having an amazing day. Now, this episode is going to be crazy. This episode 2 of the Tapp In Show. Last week we tapped in with Italy. This week we tapped in with France. Now, to everybody new to the show and new to the channel, every week we tap it in with a different country. From Italy, France, UK, from Nigeria, people from Ghana, from Norway, people from South Africa. And if y'all want some other countries to come on the list, definitely let me know in the comments. This week we tapping in with my homegirl Tatiana. Tatiana got a lot going on in Paris right now and a lot going on in the States. You know, she worldwide, she travel a lot, speak mad languages. She gonna hit us with some gems, teach us some things. We gonna learn about lifestyle out there, culture, music, fashion, everything. So everybody say what up to Tatiana. All right, Tatiana, what's going on? How you doing?
We're doing well. Just got back from the US, barely getting over my jet lag, but just chilling out here.
For the people that don't know, what were you doing in the US and where were you?
Listen, I was in Philly.
Okay.
I was chilling with my people at Taste Creators, a creative agency and label out there. And then I had to make a necessary stop in Atlanta to connect with new producers, artists, and tap in with my team as well. So just got back to Paris, France.
I see you international. That's what's up. I see you moving around.
This is right.
Okay. So this is the thing. Just for the people that don't know, can you tell us a little about yourself?
Yeah, so I am Tatiana. My close friends and people from childhood call me Tasha, a select few. And then the time I spent in the U.S., a lot of people asked if they could call me T.
Okay.
And so I go by that in the U.S. quite a bit. I've been working as a publicist for a lot of years. And in the past 5 years or so, I've been doing A&R, specifically in music publishing.
Oh, nice.
But before that, I tapped into fashion. I tapped into politics. And the common thread is I did all of those things internationally.
Oh, nice. Okay. I'm interested in this real quick. Like, how did you get started, if you mind, me asking?
Which part?
PR and the music part internationally. Because, being from France, how did you start tapping in with everybody and, all over the world in the States? And I know you said you was in Atlanta, you was in Philly. How did you get started?
I have to say I had one foot in from birth just because my family is so international. So my mom is from Iran and the Ukraine, and my dad is from Niger in West Africa. So from birth, really, I had an international background and a tendency and an ease to sort of go towards different cultures. So I gravitated towards communications pretty easily. And, that was a starting point, really.
Okay. Nice. So I'm curious, man, like, for somebody that's as international as yourself, like being from France but traveling all over, who's artists that you listen to? Like, what kind of artists do you like listening to on a regular basis?
It's funny because when you were asking that question, I had a visual, so I guess I'll go with that because I'm all for transparency.
Okay.
And I just had a visual of, I believe it was Brenda's Got a Baby. My brother showed me this. My older brother showed me this. Yeah, so I guess it was just like what we and people around me, older people around me, believe to be true lyricism. And whatever their definition of hip hop was, is what I was shown.
Okay.
But family-wise, like parents-wise, uncles, aunties, it was a lot of African vibes.
Okay.
A lot of Motown as well.
Okay.
A lot of whatever my parents listened to. So rhythm and lyrics came through very early on.
And when you say Afro, like you are you talking Afro beats or are you talking other genres of the music that we?
No, the ancestors of Afro beats is what I'm talking about. So
nice.
The instruments are the same, and I think it's the same in like hip hop. To be honest, it's just like new versions of what our elders sort of mastered. So when you listen to Afro beats today, I listen at growing up to the ancestors of that for sure. Same instruments.
Okay.
Same sort of structure, but different lyrics probably.
Nice. Okay. So the thing is, the Tapp In Show, right? I pretty much started this show because I want people to be tapping in with people all over the world, right? And every country that I actually have interest in, I'm going to do an episode on. And, immediately when I thought about France, I thought about, tapping in with you. And I wanted the people to know about you just because I feel like, your story's interesting. I feel like you're very all over the world. You travel, America, the UK, everywhere pretty much. But I want to stick to France today, you know what I mean? So I'm going to ask you a few questions about France just to teach some of the viewers that don't know anything about France. something about France. So, I want to ask you this question first. I want to ask you, French artists. Who is your favorite French artist that you like listening to?
Currently, I would have to say this guy called SDM. In French, you say
SCM?
SDM. SDM.
Okay.
And actually, y'all might know him from, that Netflix show, The Talent Search. And I believe in the US, it was Cardi, it was T.I., it was Chance the Rapper. They did a French version of that show, and he's one of the judges in the new season. So y'all might be able to see him from that. To me, he is phenomenal and a very solid reflection of what can happen with French artists.
And what does he do exactly? Is he a singer? Is he a rapper?
He's a rapper, but because he's of Congolese sort of origin, he has this gift of melody, I have to say, as well.
Got you. So, and that's something I learned, like, going to France a lot. I didn't know how strong the Congolese community was out there. I didn't know how many people was. I was meeting mad people from like Congo and mad people from Cameroon, and a lot of Americans. Before we go there, we don't realize how big like the community is and how many people is there from there. So I do want to ask you: is there like what's some strong Congolese communities as far as like where it's like majority Congolese in France or in Paris? Let's speak on Paris at the moment.
I have to say they're everywhere.
Oh, okay.
And everywhere. I say this with love, like so many of my closest people I would have to say there's a lot of Cameroonians as well. Yes. But the thing about the diaspora in France, as opposed to, for example, the UK and places like that, is the fact that it was, old French colonies.
Okay.
And their descendants that sort of moved to France. So the countries that we have in terms of second generation and third generation will be French-speaking African countries mostly. So the Congo, we have Senegal that's very present, Cameroon, Ivory Coast, places like that are French-speaking. And I have to say that the Congo, even though I'm not from there, objectively speaking, they're killing it with rhythm.
Yeah.
And in terms of top 10, top 20, it's a lot of Congolese artists for sure. So scattered across Paris and France.
Could you name a few that's like bigger artists that like say people should know, or if people were to check out, hear this, they'll probably go check the music out. Who is some Congolese artists that's like doing a thing now? I think Tiakola, he should be Congolese also, right?
Absolutely. That would be my top two: SDM, who I mentioned earlier, and Tiakola. Absolutely. SDM is so strong with lyrics and rap, and Tiakola is truly the future of melody. He is called La Melo in French, which means the melody, the voice, in a sense.
So is his name big out there? Like, can the two artists you name, can they walk, if they walk down the street, is it like, will they just walk past the average person and people won't recognize them? Or, so they're huge.
They would be, absolutely.
Absolutely. Nice. People referred him to me, but I think the first song I covered was, I want to say, it might be the song with him and Dave. It might be before the Meridian, or it might be like around that time frame. But I was like, I think he can blow in America. I think his music is amazing. I think people will like him. That's what I think personally. But you travel a lot. You're in America often. How do you think America would take both of the artists that you name? Like, how do you think they would take them today?
I've often wondered, like, because they're so strong with lyrics, and in France, before, like, much like in the US, there was a culture of funk, pre-hip hop. In France, you had a culture of rock music, but lyricism has always been a thing. And so I've always wondered, like, if people don't understand, will they miss the magic?
Got you.
But no, they won't, because the melody and the voice and the tone, it translates. It just translates. So I feel like people would love it. And there's a lot of African artists that have popped in the US, so I don't see why not.
Yeah, and that's a good point too, because when we think of some of the big Nigerian artists that, we don't understand exactly their music, but we love their music. Burna Boy has some songs where he's strictly just speaking Yoruba, and it's playing in the club, and we listen to it and we like it. And I want to say, so some of the artists, I just want to name some of the artists that I ran into that I actually really like. So an artist that I really like is Freeze Corleone, right? And I just want to say, are you familiar with them or not?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
It's crazy because Freeze, I covered his music, and at first I wasn't putting the subtitles on, and people was like, nah, you got to hear what he's saying. So I started like going to Genius, and I started like putting the subtitles on, and I'm like, yo, this dude would get canceled in America. Like, he's saying some like wild stuff towards like the politicians.
Let me tell you, I'm sorry to interrupt, but he was canceled in France. The government went after him. All his music was banned. And the people stood up for him, actually.
So is he the only artist that's on that out there, or is that like a culture of people that's doing that, and he's just the one that I ran into?
No, he's the main one. He has to be the main one. We had a few more old school, I would say, like more some OGs who had some insane, situations with legal situations with the government, like Yusufa, I remember mostly. But he, out of the younger generation, he's the ultimate. He was on the news. His name was, all over. Like judges were talking about him, kind of shit.
And look, it's crazy because I have a friend of mine that's an artist. I don't want to put his name out there, but he basically was going to France, and he basically, I told him, I'm like, yo, these are the artists, that you should probably do a feature with, because he has a name wherever he's at. And he said, yo, I reached out. We was going to reach out to Freeze Corleone. He said, our team told us like, oh, nah, like, just pass on that one because you could get canceled. And I'm like, wow, and this was an artist from London, which was kind of crazy hearing that.
He's brilliant, I have to say. And I love how daring he is. And I'm just thinking back to messages from or communication on Twitter, what have you, like from the team, and they were just so confident because the things that were offensive were really truly debatable.
Gotcha. When you say debatable, if it's true, you saying debatable as if like it's debatable if it's true or not?
The people that got offended proved his point.
Oh, wow.
Do you see what I'm saying? People were saying that he was sort of anti-Jewish, which is very far from the truth. But in actuality, what he was saying was comparing certain statements to what happened with colonies, with slaveries, to Black perspectives. And factually, nothing was wrong. He just obviously, because he's such a fucking talented rapper, formulated it in a packaging, in a way that, can sort of impact or affect certain people.
Is Freeze Corleone from St. Denis or Saint Denis?
No.
Oh, he's not.
But actually, what's interesting about him is that regardless of where he lives now, he grew up in Africa.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He grew up in Senegal, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that informs a lot of what he talks about.
Oh, that's very, very interesting. I didn't know that. I thought he was like, I didn't even know he was actually mixed with Senegalese.
No, he went to French high school. Yeah, he's mixed. He went to the French, like most countries in the world have a French high school, just like they have an American high school.
Okay.
For like expats, people, what have you, that live there from abroad.
Okay.
Or local kids and stuff. And like in Niger, all my cousins went to the French high school. He went to the French high school in Dakar, which is a capital in Senegal. And all of he's part of a group called 667.
Yeah.
And most of them went to the same school. So they all have those stories of being French in Africa and vice versa. And that informs a lot of what they talk about.
Oh, nice. That was some good information right there. That definitely taught me a lot, because I actually covered them a lot. And Freeze at the moment is my favorite rapper in
talented.
France. Yeah. And then I like Tiakola right now. He's my favorite singer in France at the moment. Does he play in the clubs or the club's not playing him?
No, but not because the club's not playing him, just purely because his music is not dancing music.
It's not for the club.
That's the only, correct. That's the only reason.
I want to go to another guy that I think do play in the club. I'm just guessing because I know when I was in Paris, I was hearing his music whenever we was driving. Every time I heard people driving past, I heard him playing Gazo's music. How big is Gazo in Paris?
He is huge.
He's huge. Okay.
Yes, he's massive.
Nice.
He really is. I think he's a very strong representation of what France can offer, for sure.
Got you. And it's crazy because I always show people his, the song with him and Freeze Corleone. I always show people the drill O2. I can't believe I can't think of it right now. But the Drill FR, I think it's called too. But the reason why I'm bringing it up now is everybody watched this video and they're like, hold on, this is France, this is Paris. And I'm like, yeah, this Paris, because to the average American that never left, France don't even seem like it even have like any hoods, any bad neighborhoods, nothing.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah, tell me something. I want to know.
Paris is not Emily in Paris, with all due.
Okay,
that show on Netflix.
Yeah.
That is not how it goes.
So
I feel like a lot of people have this like sort of postcard pretty picture of Paris with the Eiffel Tower and this romanticism and everything's beautiful. That is false. Those spots exist. Everything is varied and diverse.
Gotcha.
And there's a lot of things that Americans could relate to that are going on over here for sure.
Is it a lot of like hoods that we would call hoods in Paris?
Yes.
There's a lot.
Yes.
So to the Americans is watching, don't think you can't go there, and don't think you can go there and just take over somewhere, just, walk up in anybody hood or anybody blocks and think that, it's all sweet. Because I know that's how Dame got his scar on his head. A lot of people don't know that. Dame got that walking through with a camera. I don't know if you know the area he was at, but he was at an area. I don't know the name of it, but he thought it was nice, he said. And he said they just filming some Rockefeller stuff. And he said people came over there tripping, and he didn't understand the language. And I guess they were saying, yo, move, this block is hot. And
even not language-wise, like I had, me even moving from space to space in different hoods for work. If there was a couple minutes wait time before the artist arrived, if I had to meet him for a project or something, like you best be able to hustle or improvise in those 2 minutes. Like same thing, even if you're from here. But one thing I do want to say that's different from the US is that inner city out here means the opposite. So if you're outer city, that's the hood.
I heard the suburbs is the hood to you guys.
Correct.
Okay.
Paris proper, obviously you have some areas that are rougher than others, but Paris proper, that's not how it's known. The suburbs are the hood out here. That's how it works.
And how far is the suburbs?
Very close, but sometimes they make it very complicated to access. And I think you guys can relate to that as well.
Yeah.
But everything is, I would say, half an hour away, truly, or supposed to be.
So when I started covering music in France, everybody was like, you got to cover this group. You got to cover this group. You got to cover this group. I'm like, all right, I'm going to do it. So I cover it. The songs start going crazy. Like the video like shoots up to probably like 50 or 60,000 really quick, and then it gets blocked, right? So I messaged the team, they read it and kept it blocked, and I was like mad at it. I was mad, right? I'm like, yo, why they? And then I was talking to my boy, and my boy like, man, this don't got nothing to do with them personally. But I'm like, nah, I'm not messing with them. Then I heard they turned down a feature from Drake, and I'm like, all right, this might be true, but it's a group.
Oh, I know who you're speaking of.
You know what I'm talking about? Who I'm talking about? Let's see if you know.
Is it PNL?
PNL? Yeah. So tell me about PNL. I'm trying to learn about the people that blocked me, man, and got my video down, and I still can't get it back up. Yeah.
Damn. I gotta tell you something. Like that doesn't shock me.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
Yeah, it didn't shock me once I realized they turned. I heard Drake wanted to get on the remix of one of their joints, and
he's not the only one either.
Oh,
that's true.
Oh, he's not. Drake isn't the only one, or they're not the only ones that did that to Drake.
No, Drake is not the only one that requested, but that was like a known thing in France because it was so badass.
Yeah,
like who gets to say no?
Yeah.
PNL are, I don't know how to describe them, and that's how they would like me to say it, I guess. They're two brothers.
Okay.
From the 91, which is a 9-1.
Okay.
Like department outside, it's an area, it's a department outside of Paris.
Okay.
That has different hoods within it. And they're from Corbeil-Essonnes, Les Tarterets. So it's a specific hood. They're from there, and they're two brothers, and they really just killed it in terms of streams and what they could do independently.
Oh, nice.
No one had done that shit before, and that's really what made them stand out.
Gotcha.
And you even have things that you guys might find funny, but things like they had an interview in the Fader.
Okay.
And for us, that's crazy. Like what a dope publication out in America.
Yeah.
That validates craft, that validates artistry, that validates artists.
Gotcha.
We were like the Fader, but they were always independent. They rejected all interviews. That one they were quoted for. but they've never in their entire career done interviews.
Oh, wow.
Featuring only people from, it was insanely selective. And so they were like, we won't make a difference for people outside of our country either.
Oh, wow. Got you.
Mm-hmm.
So who would be the equivalent of Fader in France as far as like who would be where people would go to get an article that's like you get co-signed if you go there? What's like a big, not something that's also in America, but something that's strictly to France?
We've had an evolution of media titles because a lot, it's very different. It's very different in France. The blog space is much smaller and has a lesser impact. So there are publications personally that I love, such as Views, which is a beautiful mix of music, culture, meaning like fashion as well. Phenomenal platform in terms of how they cover the craft, I would say. And it has a little bit of a hype beast sort of tint to it, if you want to compare it to the US, mixed with a complex. So very solid.
And that's Views, V-U-S-E or Z-E?
Views like the English word views.
Oh, V-I-E-W-S.
Correct. And then we have La Pépite.
Okay.
La Pépite, which in Spanish would be La Pepita.
Okay.
Which is the gem. And that's a platform that I love because it's geared towards artist discovery.
Got you. And you know what's crazy? So as a girl, and I'm going to butcher her name, so I'm not even going to say her name, but I'm going to have you probably say it. But I didn't know she was so huge. And everybody always tell me, this girl is huge. They're like, you don't know who she is. And they're like, I should know who she is in America. But I think her name is like Anna something. You know what I'm talking about? Anna Yama is a long name. She's like, I think she's from Congo also. She's supposedly like the biggest singer, I think.
Aya Nakamura?
Yeah, that's her right there.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, so is she as huge as people tell? People tell me she's huge, but they're like I should know who she is out here.
Let me get a glass of wine real quick.
Okay.
To Aya, she is massive. She's actually from Mali, which is a neighboring country from me, so I feel very proud. I wonder when people discovered her in the U.S. Because her streams are insane.
Yeah,
globally. But I wonder, she's originally from Mali, but out here she's from Aulnay-sous-Bois, which is a hood outside of Paris as well.
Okay.
And what I've always found interesting is that she's managed to get to the top of fucking everything, including opening the Olympics out in Paris.
Oh, wow. Oh, so she opened it this year?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's fire.
While singing the same damn topics, which... she's singing about very girl next door stuff, but she's, and she's I don't know, because I was thinking of Taylor Swift just now.
Oh, that's wow. Ours. So she's like
ours,
or
wow. More massive, just because we can relate in a way that, the immigration conversation comes into it as well.
Okay.
And she's managed to go to the higher echelons, be invited to the Met Gala by Anna Wintour. Those are things that are massive, for someone who sings about, being a Black girl and having those boy problems and being so relatable, dressing the way she wanted to.
Nice.
But she got more coverage abroad before she did here, I have to say.
So she blew abroad, and then you guys was like, this is ours. Or she blew in France, and
in terms of the media. In terms of the media, yes. Musically, she blew up here. But the coverage that she deserved was abroad first. People loved her out there.
Mm-hmm. And then the last, I know I keep saying the last word, but the last word is Damso. Am I pronouncing it right? Damso?
Damso. So he's from Belgium. So it's a neighboring country.
Okay.
Our relationship, this is my perspective, but France's relationship with Belgium is kind of like
New York and Jersey.
The US and Canada is what I was going to say.
Okay. Gotcha.
But yes, no.
So being he's from Belgium, should we, when we have the Belgian episode, we're gonna talk about Damso?
We bring it. They're part of us.
Okay.
That's why I feel confident about that Canada-US thing. If you're talking to other people from elsewhere,
Drake is a part of us over here, right?
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that makes sense. So I heard he's like the top of the top, like the lead. Damso is who, like, he's the man over there. That's what I heard. You know what I mean?
So what's interesting is that he was actually he's very powerful musically. He was very successful, still is. He
Okay.
was actually launched by someone called Booba.
Okay.
Booba is a French rapper who's been around for years and years.
Okay.
At some point, he moved to Miami, and from there, he started sort of branching out and doing a lot of stuff, including talent discovery and artistic development
Okay.
and producing new artists. And Damso was one of them.
And he did that out of Miami?
Yeah, he's back and forth. He's very mysterious and very present.
Okay. Okay.
Phenomenal person.
So,
He's achieved so much, but as a talent finder, I haven't
he's
seen
good.
better. I haven't seen better.
So when is your first, like, your oldest memory of French hip hop? What is your oldest memory? Like, what year would you put it to? As you don't have to say the year, but what's some artists that's like early French hip hop to you? You look at them as like pioneers. You look at them like they pretty much led the way to, where we are today.
So I moved in the late 90s. I moved to Paris from Niger in West
Okay.
Africa. And I
Okay.
remember going to a concert that was a mix of Afro music and rap.
Okay.
And there was a group called Bissona Bisso, which was
Okay.
exactly that. It was rap and based on Afro music. And one of the rappers was called Passy.
Okay.
And he was massive in terms of old school music in France. So him, I remember.
So he was
Um,
massive already in the late 90s.
yes.
So he was
And
so
yes.
it didn't start in the late 90s. This started way before, pretty much, as far as like.
Way before, but the audience, I wasn't around for it, but I remember tales of people like Flava Flav coming to Paris in the late 80s,
Oh
actually,
wow.
trying to
Okay.
share hip hop and that culture,
Got
you
you.
know?
Got you.
So
Okay.
it just took a minute to stick and a minute for people to figure out what our sound was in France as opposed to copying the Americans. But
Got you.
the sound of it came pretty early.
I had a conversation with a few people in the UK, and I was telling them how big these artists are in France, and we started going to Spotify numbers, and I mean, the artists that we know that's big in the UK, a lot of these French artists was like triple their monthly listeners,
Hmm.
right? And
Hmm.
quadruple, and they was like, wow, I didn't know. Like, so I think a lot of people don't know how big the scene is over there. It's really big.
Hmm.
Like, I know you know that, but the average person don't know. And I want to ask, is it big because the other French countries is like tuning in, and that's what really make it big, or is it big just because, like, people listening to it in America, even the English countries is making it big? Like, what do you think? You think it's just the French countries that's making, these, let's say, an artist that just what's her name that we just talked about earlier?
Aya Nakamura.
Do you think it's the French countries that's making her numbers so big, or do you think it's even
Mhm.
English countries and Spanish countries and everything?
So I think both, because one is France itself. I think we
Okay.
were I think since COVID, actually, there was a lot of like self sufficiency that was created. We
Okay.
can't travel to the US, we can't go there. Let's see what we can do ourselves. Let's see how we can connect with other European countries, is really what happened.
Okay.
And so it was more about melody and less so about understanding the other person's lyrics.
Okay.
So a lot of European countries really just boosted those stats for sure, based
Got
on
you.
melody purely. When I look at the countries that stream Aya, none of them for sure speak French.
Oh
None of them.
wow.
You can dance to her music. And
Got
that's
you.
fucking universal,
Got
right?
you.
But for
Yeah.
people like Tiakola, it's similar. But for
Okay.
rappers who pride themselves on lyrics, it really became, yeah, again, the self sufficiency and like we don't need others to perfect our craft. And I believe during that time period, France was the second biggest hip hop market in the world. And I don't
Yeah.
think people know that. For
Yeah.
real.
I seen in 2019 it said they were the biggest. I seen an article
Yes,
today.
yes,
Said in
Yes.
2019 they were the biggest, which is,
Correct.
again, a lot of people don't know that. So what is your take, and what is the take of the people that you know in France on Emily in Paris?
So would you like my friends who are American living in Paris take or actual French people? Because
I
no
would
one
like
would agree
both.
it's accurate regardless.
Oh wow! So even the Americans living in France don't agree.
Especially the Americans living in
Oh
France.
wow! And what's the
We don't want to take
most
away from the magic and the dream and the postcard picture perfect kind of stuff, but it just doesn't make sense in terms of money. Really, financially, it's not realistic. You could not have that wardrobe and live in this apartment in this area
Yeah.
at a junior level in this company.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-mm.
Okay. So let me ask you this question. Like, what was it like growing up? Like, I know you said you moved there in the 90s. What was it like growing up in Paris? Like, do you guys have, like, I'll give you an example. So I went to high school in LA. I'm from New York, right? But when I went to high school in LA, they had a different culture than New York. And
Mm,
something a
sure.
14-year-old, yeah, it's crazy how different it is. But a 14-year-old would have, like, it was something called a soda pop, right? And if you tell anybody from LA, any of your friends from LA, you tell them, yo, somebody tell me about the soda pop, they're going to probably, like, just go into memory lane. But that was like a club for, like, teenagers just going into high
Right,
school, and
right,
everybody know about the soda pop. Everybody know about the 7 to 7 where you're going from 7 and then leave at 7 a.m. But
right.
what did you guys have for, like, the 14-year-old, 15-year-olds that, like, what was the cool spot where everybody went? Where did the guys meet the girls or the girls meet the guys? Where you get your first boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever you into? Where do you go to find that as a kid growing up? If you think back in memory lane, how was it?
So I will say this based on my personal experience is that when I moved from Africa to France, my parents made it a goal. This is the reason we moved. My parents made it a goal that my brother and I would attend a specific school that was
Oh,
a top school. So we were there were very, there was
oh,
very little racial diversity.
okay,
So my experience within that school, as opposed to outside of it with cousins, friends, and things like that, I'm able to separate the two. And
okay,
I'm very aware of that. But one thing that's common to everyone and that I think is shocking sometimes to Americans is that when I was growing up, the drinking age was 16 legally.
oh, wow,
For
yeah,
example, for beer and wine, 16, because it's part of the culture. You see, I have
okay,
a glass of wine, it doesn't mean, it's just
yeah,
that's how you accompany anything you do,
okay, I got you.
right? It's not about excess, things like that. It's just always present. So
Hmm.
we would have like beers and stuff with teachers after school, things like that.
At
It's always
16?
around. Yeah. And
Oh
18
wow.
was liquor.
Oh, so
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 imagine me moving to America and discovering I couldn't order a beer. That was something
yeah,
else.
yeah. So did you guys, like, I know I talked to, in the first episode I talked to someone in Italy and they said they didn't have, like, cheerleaders in their school. They didn't have, like,
Mhm.
basketball team, football team, soccer team. They was like, school was really just for school. What did you say it was similar where you went to school and in the area you went to school?
There's something that I noticed with the US very early on. It was how much sports and craft were valued.
Okay.
I always was very aware that I went to schools and that people here, really did a good job at teaching or attempted to at
Okay.
teaching languages. It was more stuff of the mind. But
Gotcha.
everything that was your body, like
Mm.
theater or music, instruments, sports, that was a lesser thing. Whereas in the US, I noticed it was literally like classes sometimes ended, at noon or 2 p.m. and the afternoon was dedicated to that. That
Yeah,
would
yeah.
never happen in
Oh
Europe. It's
wow.
impossible. Are you
Yeah.
joking? No
And
way. And so outside of the culture that we didn't have, like we don't have prom, we don't have the
oh
yearbooks, we don't have all those things. But outside of that, most importantly, I noticed that the music and sports were really like not a part of the school culture, the education at all
wow.
out here.
So
Mhm.
so so do you guys look at it like, wow, I wish we did have prom. I wish we did have homecoming. I wish we did, or do you like it? You prefer it the way you had it?
I think movies and TV shows made it so that people were curious and wished for that. But that
Yeah.
was just really the influence of America in terms of TV, for sure. Um,
Mm.
I do have to say that soccer, as you guys call it, we call
Yeah.
it le foot, football,
Yeah.
because it's your foot on the ball, so that's what it should be called.
Yeah.
That was always incredibly present. It's very, 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 people are fanatics out here, but it was
Okay.
always like an after school kind of thing. You
So
know,
it
it was
wasn't for the school.
never. Those things don't exist, those concepts. You don't have school
Wow.
teams really. Yeah.
See, it's so crazy.
Cheerleaders, all that stuff doesn't happen.
Like I told Emma on the Italy episode, I couldn't even imagine going to a school without like a basketball team, a football team, cheerleaders. Like I couldn't even
Right.
imagine what it would even, because it's crazy because you said something that's really strong, which when you're like in America, we dedicate so much time to it. It's so much time dedicated. Like let's just say you play on a basketball team. A lot of times you probably won't have a fifth and a sixth period that's like, you're going to have basketball, and then it leads right into after school, your basketball practice. So basketball, where other people might have PE, which is like, do you guys have PE in school where you like
A
run
couple
around?
hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Basketball turns into, it turns into that. But the point I'm trying to make with the whole thing, when you go to certain schools, it's a big thing, even like the tryout for the team. Like, I mean, like the school, like Crenshaw High School that I went to, literally like the entire school is after school watching the tryouts. Like, I'm talking about people
Yeah.
are sitting just looking like it's a
I
thing. Like,
know.
you're not going home. You
You
want to
think
see
I
who's going
missed
to be.
out?
Yeah, you definitely missed out. But I will say it, the way you guys say it in Europe, to me, it sets you up for the future better because you have so many people that's all from the age of 3 or 4 in America that the parent put the ball in their hand and they're aiming to go
Yes.
somewhere that only have 28 teams, and only, you got probably like a 0.5% chance of making it with everyone around United States is playing, with all the overseas players that's coming over. And a lot of times you're probably the best player in your elementary school, junior high school, and you don't make it, and you don't have a fallback. You working at Starbucks or you working somewhere, and you're like stressed now because you're used to being a man. Because like I said, when you're doing this in school, you're a big deal. So I feel like it does set a lot of people up for failure. Everybody won't be
There's something,
LeBron.
we don't have that same system of college because we were talking about younger years. We don't have that same system. So, like,
Okay.
you don't have that goal, right?
Yeah.
Of sports and going to school via that sport. Actually, we school for us in terms of university, it's just schooling. It's purely educational.
Got
Sports
you.
are not included in that thinking process, you know?
Wow.
So I feel like that plays into it. Like, you don't have that goal because it doesn't exist. And
Yeah.
so
So
people dream via TV shows, people dream via music, people dream of a country they think they might know
got
via
you.
what was made successful to us, you know? But we don't
Got
have
you.
that. It doesn't exist out here. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I always think what it would be like for, because when I went to LA, it was always like, it was a culture shock. I always think what it would be like if I went to school in London or Paris, like instead of going to LA, how it would have been. And the way you tell me now, I'm like, I think we made the right choice just going to school in LA because I would have been out there bored. I could tell I probably have been in class just so bored. Like, it's just like, no homecoming. Do you know what homecoming represents or no?
I do, because just because the school that I went to had so many American students that a petition was created
Oh,
to have
wow.
like a prom, like an attempted prom.
Got you.
Like, just
Got
because there
you.
were so many international kids, but everyone else that I knew in France didn't go through that at all.
Wow, wow. So okay, I have a good question for you. If there was an artist right now, if you were to say is one artist right now that you think within the next 2 years were to blow in America, where they have a song on Billboard where people know who they are in America
Mhm.
that's not known in America right now. If you had to name one artist, who would you name?
Can I name two?
You
I'm a
can name
Gemini.
two.
Give me
Okay,
two.
name two. That you think people are gonna know them in America. Like they walk down the street, people gonna recognize them, but they're not all the way known now.
Okay, so I mentioned him,
Okay.
SDM, just because I know I've been sent videos that his music is being played in clubs in Miami and Atlanta. So who knows?
Okay.
SDM. And then there's someone who is way lesser known, but who I think is phenomenal,
Okay.
called Bakary. He's
Okay.
from Belgium, but
Okay.
I'm gonna bring him up right now.
Okay.
Bakary,
And you think
someone who you can tell has studied the American craft, chosen not to copy it, but still shows respect for it and the way he tells his stories in the music.
got
Straight up,
you.
a gift of melody. That guy, for real,
Got you.
Bakary.
So you just brought up the clubs just now. I'm curious.
Hmm.
You travel a lot. What is different to you about what is the club scene like in Paris, and what is different about the club scene than other places to you in Paris, for better or worse?
Since I just came back from Atlanta, I have to go to that in my brain straight away, and it has nothing to do with the Atlanta club
Okay.
scene for sure.
Okay.
Out here, there is no strip culture,
Okay.
I have to say.
Is
So
that a
that's
good
a
thing or a
key
bad
element.
thing?
It's a thing.
What do you think? Good thing or bad thing? Do you think you guys need it, or you think better to do without it?
I think we needed but I think I would have to play a role in helping it
Okay.
happen, just
Okay.
because the attempts have not worked out because it's so culturally different.
Yeah.
Out here, the strip clubs might be more like sort of elegant in a sense.
Yeah.
It'll be more demure, you
Like
know?
Moulin Rouge and Crazy Horse is
Facts.
gonna be similar to
Facts.
that. Like, I got you.
Nothing ratchet, you
Do
know?
you do you
Whereas I
think you
feel
guys?
like
Wait, I'm sorry. What you say?
I've seen dancers in Atlanta make songs known. So I
Yeah.
respect that so much. Truly,
Okay.
that is not a part of the culture here. The
Okay.
clubbing is very important in terms of DJing for sure, though. For sure. For
DJing
sure.
is huge in Paris.
Yes.
Okay. And I want to ask this question: do you think, being that it's not, whenever something's not somewhere, that means there's a need for it. Probably if someone could bring it in, it could be the first one. Why do you think no one? Why do you think no one bought the V Live, Ratchet? What's some of the other strip clubs, that the Legends, why do you think nobody bought that to Paris yet? Where it's
The
more about,
onyxes of it. Yeah.
yeah,
Uh, you know, because the clientele is different. I
okay,
think that's what it is. The audience is different. The rules are different. You may not know them.
got you,
For example, yeah, I think it's purely that. So it's not even structural. It's a matter of teaching those differences.
got you.
But it can happen. I'm working on a couple things.
Oh, so you are working on it. Okay, so for my rappers that go out there for Fashion Week, that's bored and tired
Oh
of going
no,
to
there
Crazy
are
Horse.
girls and there is music.
Okay,
It should not be expected for it to resemble what's out there.
got you.
Hmm.
And I want to say, so as far as the club scene though, when you go to the club, I know you said the DJ scene is big. Do you enjoy yourself in the clubs more there, or when you're visiting America?
For me, I would have to say in America, but
Okay,
it's because I'm French though.
okay.
Because I would sell the shit out of Parisian clubs to anyone who's not from here because they're worth it,
And what would you say to
And I think
sell
it's
it? How
because I
would you
come
sell it?
from here. Je ne sais quoi and Paris chic come into play in those situations. If you
Okay,
want a French touch, if you want elegance but to party, you go to a
okay.
French club.
And
If you want to see pretty but
okay.
dangerous, you go to a French club. If you want to see fashion and some solid rhythm, you go to a French club.
Oh, nice. That's a nice way to put it. And since a lot of people that's watching probably haven't been to a French club too, what's some French clubs you would recommend?
Ooh, listen, there's one. My favorite and unclosed is called Titty Twister. It was amazing
It's called
because
Titty Twister.
it just closed. Just like
Oh,
I heard about some closings in Atlanta recently about some clubs.
okay,
I do have to say, in the spirit of full, transparency,
okay,
there is much like in other key cities, a lot of racism that comes into play at the
okay,
door, things like that. So I've heard and I've seen a few situations with even American artists
Okay.
trying to get into clubs in Paris, and there were situations, but I could tell that the language barrier didn't help.
Okay. Got
But
you.
it was like, for example, there's some places. The reason I mentioned this is because most clubs are just like, it's the same rules across the world. But some
Yeah.
places in France are so selective just because they're like over centuries old, legit,
Oh,
that even if
nice.
you're French, they have like specific like requests for shoot, like no sneakers, no matter who you are, kind of thing. So if some
Okay.
American like high rollers come in, no matter who they are, how much they have on them, if they don't have those shoes, they can't get in. Those are just like the
Got
rules
you.
of the house. So there have I've seen some things on blogs like that with American rappers, but for if you want a truly French experience, there are
Yeah.
places like Matignon that can go from dinner to club downstairs. There's a lot of like places like that. We now
Got you.
have a Soho House in Paris. It's quite recent.
Oh, nice.
But really, my favorite thing is the after parties because in Paris, you have to remember that things don't shut down. There's no
Oh,
hours. Like clubs might finish at like 5 or 6, and then you have
nice.
after parties and then after parties. So there's no time concerns whatsoever.
Nice. Okay, okay. And you got me ready to get on the plane. Okay, so I want to ask you about what about restaurants? What away from asking you your favorite restaurants, who food? This is a conversation I have with a lot of
Ooh.
my friends from France a lot. Who food do you
Uh-oh.
prefer more? France
Uh-oh.
or let's say America or let's say English the UK and why?
Whew. Oh, but can I say none of those though?
Oh, nah, you got to
Because
use one of
I
these three.
I can pick a country, but based on who, like, so for example, I would say London because of the heavy Jamaican culture,
Oh,
but
okay.
I would say France because of the heavy like West African, like Francophone culture, like Senegalese,
Mm,
Malian, things like that. I don't. There are specific super fancy kind of restaurants that I respect,
yeah.
right? But in terms of food that I eat, it'll be immigration. Let me tell you.
Got you, got you. So you like
Sons
the
of people who move to this country can cook the best.
everybody say that. Like I think that's the home of like and I heard Lyon is like supposedly like the best food in France. Is it correct or no?
I would not.
It's not
I
true,
think
right?
that
Yeah.
that
So Earl, that's my cousin. My cousin Earl went out
is,
there and said that to me.
I'm
Earl,
sure he said. I'm
it's
sure
not
he
number
did.
one. Yeah.
People tend to. I'm glad he had good experiences though, because it's super important to shine some lights on places that are not Paris.
Okay.
Because even as a Parisian, I will say Paris is not representative of France at all.
Okay.
It's as if you said New York looked like the entire US. That is not
Got
true.
you. Got you.
So shout out to Lyon for
Okay,
real.
okay.
Yes.
So what is the difference with the regions to you? Like, does the regions have like certain reputations, or
Yes.
what would be the reputations?
Yeah, it's um the South, like Marseille, for example,
Okay,
is a totally different world and therefore a totally different sound, because just Marseille it's by the water, it's close to Africa, it's close to Italy,
okay,
it's close to Spain. And so there's something warmer about how people approach you. It's
okay.
something Mediterranean, like, and also the immigrants that are there are not necessarily the same nationalities that are more north in France or in places
Got
like
you.
Paris. It's different, and you can hear it and you can sense it, and there's something just sunny and warm about it. It doesn't
Okay,
mean that life is easy out there at
okay.
all, but
So it's
you can
still
sense
hoods.
it.
It's still hoods there too.
Oh,
Oh, I didn't know that. That's crazy. Okay, and
mm,
what about the north?
the north is the same, but the other way around.
Okay,
Yes, the same, but it'll be closer to Belgium. It'll be closer to the Netherlands, right?
okay.
And it's a very different tone as well.
Got
But
you.
the way I spoke about the South is because it's just a fascinating sort of mix of cultures that we just don't have in other parts of France.
Got you, got you. And the immigration, I know we talked about it a little bit, but we didn't really talk about it. Is immigration really big out there?
In what sense? Like people wanting to move here or?
is it a big, you know, like let's say
Or
in France, is the immigration like is it a lot? Is the majority of the people there from somewhere else?
I don't know the numbers, but yes.
Okay. So it is big.
Yes.
Is it easy to live? Is it easy to be an immigrant and move to France without any documents, anything?
In recent years, I think there might be some similarities in the US and stuff.
Okay.
It's been very, very tough in the last couple of years.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we had a rise in Europe of very right wing, laws and ways of thinking and government. And so it's
Okay.
been actually kind of fucked up and
Okay.
sad, like blocking immigration coming in.
Okay.
But prior to that, I would say yes. There was a level of openness, absolutely,
Okay.
and it tends to be from countries that were previously colonized by France,
Oh, so the
so French
openness.
speaking. Hmm.
So they feel sorry for the countries pretty much that they pretty much
It's
colonized.
either that or that's the reason why those people picked France, seeking a
Got you.
better life. And
Okay.
also, I strongly believe you don't leave where you are if you don't think it'll be better elsewhere, first of all.
Got you. And I'm watching a show, and it was gonna bring me over to my next topic. I'm watching a show called Represent. Have you heard of it before?
No,
Is
tell
it
me
called?
about it.
So it's a show. It's called Represent. It's about a guy running to be the president of France. It's on Netflix, and
En place.
yeah, you know what I'm
That's
talking
what,
about.
yes, that's what it's called in English.
Oh yeah, I
Represent.
think yeah. It's like
En
the you
place
talking about.
with Jean-Pascal Zadi, of
Yeah,
course.
the
Love
blacks. The
him.
guy looked
He's
kind of
so
like
funny.
Dave Chappelle a little bit, right? Like not
He's
like Dave
so
Chappelle, but
funny.
yeah.
No,
And,
he's so funny. And there's a comedian Farid on the show. Of course, I just didn't know that's what they called it in
called
English.
yeah, it is. It's so crazy because I'm seeing you guys go through the same thing we go through, like as far as like left
Mhm.
wing, right wing, and what they think. It's literally like the same exact thing. It's just a different language, which is crazy because to someone that travel a lot, they're like, yeah, of course, like what rock you just crow from, like you just learning that. But to people, a lot of people are like myself. We don't know that is the exact same thing going on as
Yes.
politics in America. Like it's literally
Yeah.
like identical. But I'm watching that show and then I'm watching another show called
Amazing.
The Hookup Plan. Have you heard of the Hookup Plan? I don't know what it's.
Oh,
So it's about the girl. Someone hooked her up with a guy. Like some blind date thing. It's on Netflix also. It's probably called something else in France.
I'm
But
sure.
that and then Lupin. I know Lupin is probably called the
Of
same thing.
course.
A classic,
Praise.
classic
Oh,
show.
merci. We love him.
Yeah,
Everyone. And I say we as a French people.
got you. So
Omar
he's
Sy is phenomenal.
he's big out there.
Yes.
Got
Yes.
you.
Yes.
Okay.
He started out he from the hood. He started out doing as a comedian, doing little like stand-up things here and there. And so
Okay.
he's really truly a success story.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
So what would be some shows you would tell people to watch if they just want to watch some dope, good shows? That has some subtitles or has some like they got the English dub. Like, what's some shows you think outside of the shows that I named?
Actually, the one you said with En Place, I forget what the
Oh,
one you said.
Represent.
Yes, so
Yeah.
he has a bunch of shows. I would watch
Oh wow.
anything with him, and I
Oh,
would
okay.
also watch anything with Omar Sy, who's in
Okay.
Lupin.
Nice.
Truly,
Nice. So there. Yeah.
because they will give a sort of like a full
Okay.
understanding France. And then there's a show, I'm not sure what it's called in English, also on Netflix called 10%,
Okay.
which is 10%. I'm not sure what it's called, but it's
10%.
about
I watched it. I watched it about the family. It's the
that's
family that owns the butcher shop, like the food shop, right? Or the
Yes,
like.
no, it's
Yeah.
one about one about talent agents in
Talent.
Paris.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. It starts off at the. Don't say anything. It starts off in Vendôme, right? And it starts
That's on
off.
Zoom.
Yeah. It starts off.
What did you know in Paris?
Yeah. Yeah. That one isn't dubbed. I think that one you gotta literally
No,
read the subtitles for that one. Like you can.
no,
They
I'm
don't have.
sure it's on Netflix.
Yeah. I tried to watch it.
Really?
If I'm not mistaken, I think
Paris.
that's the one with the. I think I watched maybe 2 episodes. I think it starts off going into Vendôme. I feel like they're going into that little section of Vendôme, that little into the Ritz, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's the show, but I know it's called. I know I'm supposed to watch 10%. I think that one is it, and then there's another one with the family that own the butcher shop, and I can't think of the name of that one. But I'm gonna
We have a
find it
show
and I'm
called
put it in the script.
Validé, which means, well, technically means like it's been validated, it's been approved.
Okay.
That's a name, and that's a word you say in French and slang. Validé
Okay.
means like approved, like,
Okay.
it means
Okay.
approved, and it's the name of a show. And the upcoming season, I think, is starting in a month or so.
Okay.
It's about to be season 3, and it's a series about the French rap industry.
Oh
And the
wow.
first season really, people have different feelings about it, but regardless, objectively, it changed a lot of things, and it was the first of its kind out here. So
Nice.
Validé,
Valid.
if you want to, and there's like cameos from all kinds of rappers, people from the industry, and
Okay.
that's worth looking into.
Got you. So I want to ask you. So I know you speak. How many languages do you speak? I know you speak more than 3.
Currently,
Yeah.
I grew up speaking Farsi, Russian, Zerma, Hausa, Fulani,
Oh wow.
English, and French.
Okay.
I learned Spanish and Japanese later on.
Okay.
Currently, I do not feel comfortable telling you I speak all of those fluently.
Okay.
Right now, I can say Spanish, English, and French, but I feel like if I'm immersed for like a couple weeks, the rest should come back.
Gotcha. What would be your advice for someone that wants to learn French and that only speaks one language and want to learn, like, before
To
they
not be
turn 50?
embarrassed. To not be embarrassed.
Okay.
I found, at least from French people trying to learn even English,
Okay.
it's people blocking themselves because their accent isn't strong enough, or
Hmm.
so they think. And I think that's bullshit. It's just not being scared.
Okay.
Also, I believe if you're a musician, if you create music, things like that, I believe, have a strong ability to recreate sounds,
Okay.
and that's what languages and accents are. So really, it might be more within your reach than you think so. And sometimes your friends might just be, picking fun at you, making jokes and shit. Don't listen
Yeah.
to that part. You can learn
Gotcha.
the language, and apps, things, all those things like Duolingo, worth it, worth it.
Got you. Got you. And my last question for you, before I ask you about, a few songs that you could put us on to, is how do you think what is America's influence on the French rap scene? Or is it an influence, or was it influence is no longer there? Or what would you say?
I would say America is the start of everything. America is where rap was created. America is where hip hop was created. And I think no one forgot that. What changed, I believe, in the last few years is the fact that we became more self sufficient, perhaps,
Okay.
needing Americans less, needing the approval less, perhaps.
Okay.
That didn't change the respect. I know for a fact that what people are listening to in their headphones, all these top French artists, I
Yeah.
know for a fact that entire models, business models, are based on what Americans have done. Entire song structures are based on what Americans have done. But there's this sort of sense that we can do it without them, with our style, our taste, our words, our
Okay.
verbiage. So respect and love, but independence still, I would
Got
say, is
you.
where I'm praising at the moment. But there's a lot, no matter what you listen to, you'll see the influence, and it still resides for sure. How can we do without? That's where it was created.
Nice. Nice. And I want to ask you, so if there was, I might be asking you on the spot, so I don't know if you have it right now, but if there was 5 songs that just an American can hear, just, if they go to their iTunes or their Spotify, and, I'm actually going to play these songs in the episode also, if you have it at the moment. If not, then, you can send it to me later. But if there's 5 songs you think Americans should hear to just, someone that never heard any French music, but, want to check it out and want to hear, some stuff y'all got to offer, what songs would you say?
What I could do is start off with one song, and
Okay.
then the rest I can list the artists
Okay.
that they should listen, the 5 artists.
Okay.
SDM, the song is called Love.
Okay.
There's an artist called Bous, Bouss,
Okay.
and the song is called Poupie.
Okay.
Then we have Yadley. The
Okay.
song is called Comme le vin, which means like wine.
Okay.
Then we have Aya, and then we're gonna have Buba.
Wow. And what's the reason you named these five?
You know, I was thinking about. I feel like they're true representations of both content, subject
Okay.
matter, and flow and lyrics. I feel like they're true representations of what's going on in France now.
And a non-French speaker can listen to it and still enjoy it. These songs.
Absolute, exactly.
I'm gonna have it playing in between the episode on the streaming platforms also, just so that we're gonna make sure they hear it. We're gonna make sure, and then for the people on YouTube, I gotta go check it out. But other than that, how can we find you? And if you want to tell us what you have going on right now, and anything you want to tell the people real quick.
I appreciate that. So I'm Tatiana Kombo, TatianaKombo on all platforms.
Okay.
And in the next month or so, I will be launching my music publishing company. I've been working with producers for a bunch of years, representing Zaytoven out in Atlanta. But my passion is discovering new talents and developing them. Okay. So hopefully we're going to do something fucking massive shortly. So Dark Line Publishing is coming soon.
Congratulations, man. I'm gonna also, definitely put your information in, and how soon should it come? As far how soon should it be, launched? As far as the company,
I'm hoping, fingers crossed, by October.
Oh, so it's here. It's here.
It's here.
Got some weeks. Well, congratulations, man. I'm definitely looking, I'm going to be looking out for it. I'm definitely going to support it 100%, and, I know the people will also. And, yo, you was amazing. I'm mad happy for this episode. I'm not going to lie. When I thought about France, I was like, I gotta, talk to you. I definitely want you on like a future episode also, just to,
that.
This is going to be something just tapping in all the time and just seeing what's going on, checking current events, and hopefully a lot of people learn something. Hopefully some new fans, start listening to some of these songs and, some of these artists. All right, so other than that, we're going to see y'all on the next one. A plus.
A plus.
A plus.